You? In first class? Stop pretending. Stand up and move before I call security.
No, this is my seat.
I am not negotiating. Get up!
Get your black ass out of my seat. Patricia Whitaker's voice cut through the quiet first-class cabin so sharply that every nearby conversation stopped. Before anyone could react, her perfectly manicured hand grabbed Jordan Ellis by the shoulder and jerked him sideways. His paper coffee cup slipped from his fingers. Hot coffee splashed across his jeans. The newspaper on his lap darkened with spreading stains. Patricia slid into seat 1A as if she had just reclaimed stolen property. She crossed one leg over the other, adjusted her cream designer jacket, and let out a satisfied breath. That's much better. No one moved. No one spoke. The only sound came from a phone camera beginning to record. Jordan stood in the aisle beneath the low cabin ceiling. His gray hoodie looked worn but clean. His jeans had faded with age. Comfortable walking shoes replaced the polished dress shoes most people expected in first class. His boarding pass remained folded in one hand. The letters and numbers were still visible. Seat 1A. A teenage girl quietly raised her phone. Another passenger followed. Within seconds, several cameras pointed toward the confrontation. People no longer trusted memory. They trusted video. Patricia rested her arm across both armrests, as though announcing ownership. Some people just don't know where they belong anymore. A few passengers looked away. Others exchanged uncomfortable glances. An elderly man lowered his Wall Street Journal, but said nothing. A businessman hesitated, then returned to answering emails. Silence often disguises itself as neutrality. Sometimes it becomes permission. Jordan looked at the woman sitting in his seat. His breathing remained slow. His expression barely changed. Only those who watched closely could see his jaw tighten for half a second. He had seen this look before, not once. Not twice. Many times. Luxury hotels, private clubs, corporate conferences, places where strangers judge the room before they judge the person. A flight attendant hurried toward them, her polished shoes barely making a sound against the carpet. Emily Parker, early 30s. Bright smile, perfect uniform. She reached Patricia first. "Oh my goodness, ma'am. Are you all right?" Patricia sighed dramatically. "I've been dealing with this man for several minutes." Emily turned toward Jordan. Her smile disappeared almost instantly. "Sir, can I help you?" Jordan calmly unfolded his boarding pass. "I believe this is my assigned seat." Emily barely glanced at the paper. Her eyes spent far more time studying his clothes than reading the ticket. "I think there's been a misunderstanding." "There isn't," Jordan replied quietly. "My boarding pass says 1A. Emily offered a practiced smile that somehow felt colder than open hostility. "Sir, economy boarding is farther back." Jordan extended the ticket again. "Would you mind reading it?" Emily never reached for it. Instead, she shifted her body slightly, placing herself between Jordan and the seat. "Sir, we're preparing for departure. Please don't delay the flight." Patricia smiled without hiding it. Finally, someone with common sense. Jordan said nothing. He simply kept holding the boarding pass. Behind him, whispers spread through the cabin. Did he really book first class? He doesn't look like it. Maybe it's the wrong flight. Not every voice carried cruelty. Some carried uncertainty. Others carried assumptions they had never questioned. The teenage girl filming quietly whispered into her phone, "They won't even read his ticket." Her live stream had only a handful of viewers. For now, Jordan's phone vibrated inside his pocket. He ignored it. Another vibration, then another. The screen briefly lit through the fabric. Missed calls, urgent messages, A calendar reminder. None of it seemed important compared to what was happening inside this cabin. Emily folded her hands. "Sir, this is your final request. You need to move to your correct seat." Jordan slowly looked around the cabin. Nearly every face was watching him now. Some curious, some uncomfortable, some convinced they already knew the truth. Then he looked back at Emily. His voice stayed calm, soft, almost impossible to mistake. "I am already standing beside my correct seat." No one in that cabin realized they were witnessing more than a seating dispute. Within the next few minutes, every assumption inside that aircraft would begin collapsing under the weight of one simple truth. And the man everyone believed did not belong would soon become the last person anyone wanted to underestimate. Emily Parker looked at Jordan as if patience itself had become a uniform. Her fingers tightened around the small tablet in her hand. She had not opened the seat map. She had not checked the passenger manifest. She had already decided the answer, and now she was searching for a policy to fit it. "Sir, I'm trying to help you," she said. Jordan looked at her calmly, then read the boarding pass. The words were simple. They landed hard. Patricia let out a sharp laugh from seat 1A. Oh, please. He probably printed that at home. People try this all the time. A woman across the aisle shifted in her seat. Her lips parted, as if she might speak, then closed again. She looked down at her hands, ashamed of her own silence, before anyone else could accuse her of it. Emily leaned closer to Jordan.
Lower your voice.
Jordan blinked once. "I haven't raised it." That was true. Everyone heard it. That made it worse, because now the cabin could feel the difference between danger and dignity. Jordan was not acting threatening. He was not blocking the aisle. He was not insulting anyone. He was standing with a stained pair of jeans, a folded boarding pass, and more restraint than most people could have managed. Still, Emily's cheeks flushed. "Sir, refusing crew instructions can become a serious matter." A soft murmur moved through the cabin. That phrase had weight in America. Everyone knew it. On an aircraft, a crew member's words could turn a misunderstanding into a removal. A removal could become a police report. A police report could become a life-changing event. Jordan knew that better than most. He had spent years studying systems, not just business systems, human ones, the kind that allowed one person's assumption to become another person's punishment. He looked toward Patricia. She was scrolling her phone now, pretending boredom, but her knee bounced under her skirt. She wanted him gone quickly, before anyone checked too closely, before the story changed. A teenage girl near row 3 held her phone low. Her name was Lily Carter. She was 17, flying alone to visit her grandmother in Atlanta. Her hands were shaking, but she kept recording. She had seen unfairness before in school hallways, in stores, in the way adults suddenly changed their tone with certain people. This felt like that, only louder, only trapped in a metal tube, with nowhere to step away. Lily whispered, "She still hasn't checked it." Her live stream count climbed. 12 viewers, 30, 74. A man in seat 2C finally closed his laptop. "Excuse me," he said carefully. "Why not just scan his pass?" Emily turned to him with a tight smile. "Sir, please allow us to handle this." "I'm not trying to interfere," the man said, but he's been calm. He has a ticket in his hand. Patricia snapped her head toward him. "And I have flown this route for years. I know where I sit." Jordan looked at her. "Then your boarding pass should show that." For the first time, Patricia's face changed, only slightly. A flicker. Emily saw it, but chose not to understand it. Instead, She stepped into the aisle and raised her voice, just enough for nearby passengers to hear. "Sir, if you continue to refuse, I will have to call the purser." Jordan nodded. "Please do." That answer unsettled her. People who were lying usually tried to bargain. They got loud. They pleaded. They ran through explanations too fast. Jordan did none of that. He stood still. Too still. Emily lifted her radio. "Michael, I need assistance in first class. We have a passenger refusing to move to his assigned seat." Jordan's phone vibrated again. This time the screen lit clearly. Board conference moved earlier. Legal team waiting. Emily glanced at it. Her eyes narrowed, then moved away, as if the message had offended the story she wanted to believe. Patricia noticed only enough to smirk. Board conference. That's cute. A few passengers heard her. No one laughed. The mood had shifted. The air no longer belonged to Patricia. It belonged to the cameras, to the witnesses, to the small, uncomfortable truth that everyone could see, but only a few were willing to name. Jordan folded his boarding pass once, slowly, along the crease. Then he looked toward the front of the cabin, where footsteps were approaching. Measured, confident, official. Emily exhaled with relief. Patricia settled deeper into the stolen seat, and Jordan, still calm, seemed almost ready for what came next. Michael Reynolds came through the curtain with the calm confidence of a man who believed his title could settle any room. He was 46, broad-shouldered, clean-shaven, with silver beginning to show near his temples. His navy purser jacket looked sharp. His nameplate caught the cabin light. He had worked flights long enough to read faces quickly. Too quickly. His eyes moved from Patricia in seat 1A to Jordan standing in the aisle. Then his mind did the rest. "What seems to be the problem here?" he asked. Emily stepped close to him, lowering her voice, but not enough. "This passenger is refusing to move to his assigned seat." Jordan looked at Michael. "That is not accurate." Michael raised one hand. "Sir, let me speak with my crew first." That one sentence told Jordan everything. Crew first, facts later. Patricia pressed a hand against her chest. "I have been patient," she said. "I'm a loyal premium passenger. I should not have to defend my seat from someone trying to take advantage of the system." Michael nodded once. "I understand, ma'am." The businessman in 2C leaned forward. "No, she's in his seat." He showed the pass. Michael turned toward him. "Sir, I need you to remain seated." The tone was polite, but the warning was clear. The cabin tightened. Lily's live stream climbed past several hundred viewers. Her thumb trembled against the side of her phone. Comments flashed so fast she could barely catch them. "Check the ticket. Why won't they look? This is wrong." Jordan held out the boarding pass again. "Mr. Reynolds, this will take 5 seconds." Michael glanced at the paper, but did not take it. His eyes dropped to Jordan's hoodie, then to his stained jeans, then to the coffee spreading dark across the carpet near his shoes. "Sir, first-class seating errors happen," Michael said. "Sometimes passengers misread upgrades or standby assignments." "I did not misread anything." "Then help us resolve this," Michael replied. "Take your correct seat, and we can discuss compensation after departure." Patricia smiled. There it was. Not verification. Removal. Jordan looked past Michael toward the closed aircraft door. Boarding was nearly complete. A gate agent stood outside the jet bridge, glancing at her watch. The pressure of departure had entered the cabin like another person, and pressure often made prejudice move faster. Emily crossed her arms. "We've already spent too much time on this." Jordan turned to her. You spent time avoiding the evidence. A few passengers murmured. Michael's expression hardened. Sir, be careful. The words were soft. They were also a threat. Jordan felt an old memory rise in him. His father standing in a department store when Jordan was 12, receipt in hand, while a clerk accused him of stealing a winter coat he had just paid for. His father had not yelled. He had not begged. He had only said, "Son, never let shame that belongs to someone else settle on your shoulders." Jordan had carried that sentence for almost 30 years. He stood taller. "I am being careful," he said. "Very careful." Michael lifted his radio. "Brandon, Angela, I need you up front." Within moments, 2 more crew members appeared. Brandon Hayes was young, 27, eager, his face already set in agreement before he knew the story. Angela Morris, 43, moved with tired authority, the kind sharpened by years of dealing with passenger conflicts. She looked at Jordan once and sighed. "Sir, you need to cooperate," Brandon said. Jordan looked at him. "Have you seen my boarding pass?" Brandon hesitated. "No, but then you don't know what I need to do." Angela stepped closer. "Don't twist this around. Crew instructions are not optional. They are not supposed to replace the truth," Jordan said. That line cut through the cabin. Even Michael felt it. Patricia's smile faded. For the first time, she looked less certain. But Angela was already committed. "If you refuse to move," she said, voice low and cold, "airport security can remove you. Nobody wants that, especially you." The final words landed hard. "Especially you." Everyone heard what she meant. Lily whispered into her phone. She just threatened him. Her viewer count jumped again. Jordan slowly reached into his pocket. Brandon shifted, tense. "Keep your hands visible," Brandon snapped. Jordan paused. Then, with deliberate care, he pulled out only his phone. The screen glowed against his palm. A secure Airline app opened with his thumbprint. No one close enough understood what they were seeing. Not yet. Michael pointed toward the aisle. "Last chance, sir." Jordan looked at him, calm as stone. "No," he said. The cabin went silent. Then Jordan tapped the screen once, and somewhere deep inside the company's private system, a door opened. Jordan's thumb rested on the screen for one quiet second. No one knew what he had opened. To Emily, it looked like arrogance. To Brandon, it looked like defiance. To Patricia, it looked like a man trying to save face after being caught, where she believed he did not belong. Michael saw something else. Not fear. That bothered him. "Sir," Michael said, "put the phone away." Jordan did not move. "I'm documenting the timeline." Angela gave a short, humorless laugh. "You are not helping yourself." "I'm not trying to help myself," Jordan said. "I'm trying to make sure the truth survives the story being told about me." That sentence reached the people who had been silent. The older woman near the window lowered her knitting bag into her lap. A retired schoolteacher named Margaret Ellis, no relation to Jordan, watched him with wet eyes. She had spent 35 years telling children to tell the truth, even when powerful people did not want to hear it. Now she was wondering why adults forgot that lesson so easily. Michael turned away and spoke into his radio. "Gate security to first class. We need assistance with a non-compliant passenger." The words spread through the cabin like smoke. Non-compliant. It sounded official. It sounded dangerous. It did not sound like a man holding a boarding pass. Patricia leaned back with a soft sigh. "Thank you. Maybe now we can all get where we're going." Jordan looked at her. "You were already going somewhere, Miss Whitaker." She frowned. He had used her name. She had not given it to him. For the first time, Patricia studied him with something close to attention. "How do you know my name?" Jordan's expression did not change. "It was on your bag tag when you walked in." It was a simple answer. Still, it unsettled her. People who paid attention were harder to dismiss. At the front of the aircraft, the captain's voice came over the intercom. "Ladies and gentlemen, we are completing final boarding. We should be ready for departure shortly." A ripple of irritation moved through the cabin. A man in row 4 checked his watch. A woman whispered about a connection in New York. Another passenger muttered that this was getting ridiculous. Emily heard the impatience and used it. "Sir, you are delaying this flight." Jordan looked at the passengers around him. "I understand people want to leave on time. So do I." "Then move," Brandon snapped. Jordan turned back slowly. Being pressured by a crowd does not make wrong become right. Brandon's face reddened. Angela stepped closer, her voice dropping. "Listen to me. Airport security will walk in here. They will ask you once. If you refuse, they may remove you in front of everyone. Is that what you want?" Jordan's eyes moved to the phones recording from every angle. In front of everyone is exactly where this should happen. Silence. Clean. Heavy. Even the air vents seemed quieter. Lily's live stream passed several thousand viewers. Her grandmother had already joined. So had strangers from Texas, Ohio, Georgia, and California. Comments filled the screen with anger, disbelief, and one repeated question. Why won't they just check the ticket? Then 2 airport security officers stepped through the aircraft door. Officer Nathan Brooks entered first. 45. Steady, tired around the eyes. The kind of man who had learned to listen before deciding. Behind him came Officer Grace Kim, 38, alert and composed, one hand near her radio, but not touching it. Nathan looked at the crew. "What's going on?" Michael spoke quickly. "This passenger is refusing to move to his assigned seat. He has disrupted boarding and ignored multiple crew instructions." Grace looked at Jordan, then at Patricia sitting in 1A, then at the boarding pass in Jordan's hand. "Sir," she said, "may I see that?" Jordan handed it to her without hesitation. Grace examined it. Really examined it. The cabin watched her eyes move across the paper. Name, flight, date, seat. Her brow tightened. Nathan leaned closer. Grace looked up. "This says 1A. Michael stepped forward. "There may be an issue with authenticity." Grace looked at him. "Based on what?" Michael opened his mouth. Nothing clean came out. Emily tried to rescue him. "He doesn't match the profile of she." She stopped. Too late. Everyone heard enough. Grace's expression cooled. "The profile of what, ma'am?" Emily's face went pale. Patricia sat rigid in the seat, her fingers locked around the armrest. Jordan stood still, not victorious, not angry, just deeply tired. Nathan took the boarding pass from Grace and inspected it again. "Mr. Ellis," he said carefully, "do you have identification?" Jordan nodded. "I do." He reached for his wallet slowly. This time no one told him to keep his hands visible. That small change did not go unnoticed. Jordan removed his license and handed it over. Nathan compared the names. Then he looked back toward Patricia. "Ma'am, may we see your boarding pass?" Patricia's confidence cracked like thin glass. For the first time since she stole the seat, she did not answer right away. Patricia's hand moved slowly toward her phone. For the first time, she looked less like a woman defending her place, and more like someone realizing the ground beneath her had shifted. "My boarding pass is on the app," she said. Her voice had lost its sharp edge. Nathan waited. Grace stood beside him, silent, watching Patricia's fingers tremble as she unlocked the screen. Patricia tapped once, then again. Her mouth tightened. The app opened. She turned the phone toward Nathan, with a flash of old confidence trying to return. There, seat 1A. Nathan studied the screen. Grace leaned in. Michael exhaled, as if rescue had arrived. Emily's shoulders loosened. Brandon glanced at Jordan with a look that almost said, "See?" But Jordan did not react. That troubled Grace more than anything. People who were wrong usually flinched when proof appeared. Jordan only watched. Grace looked closer at Patricia's phone. "Mom," she said slowly, "this boarding pass is for tomorrow." The cabin seemed to stop breathing. Patricia blinked. "What?" Grace turned the screen slightly so Nathan could see. Same route, same seat preference, different date. Nathan's jaw tightened. Patricia snatched the phone back. "That can't be right." She tapped frantically. One screen, another, her face drained color with every swipe. Emily stepped closer, whispering, "Ms. Whitaker?" Patricia snapped at her without looking up. "Be quiet." The words hit Emily harder than she expected. For the first time, Emily felt what it was like to be dismissed by the person she had chosen to protect. Lily's live stream surged. The comments exploded. Tomorrow. She stole his seat. They never checked. Jordan remained still, but inside him, something heavy moved. Not satisfaction, not triumph. Sadness, because the truth had always been simple. A date, a seat, a name. It could have been solved with one honest look. Grace handed Jordan's license and boarding pass back to him. "Mr. Ellis, your documents are valid." The words were quiet. They sounded almost too small for the damage already done. Michael stared at the floor. Brandon shifted his weight. Angela crossed her arms tighter, as if she could hold herself together by force. Emily looked at Jordan, then at the coffee stain on his jeans, then at Patricia sitting in the seat she had taken from him. Emily started. Jordan raised one hand. "Not yet." 2 words, soft, final. He looked at Nathan and Grace. "Officers, thank you for checking the documents. Before anyone moves, there is something else this crew needs to see." Michael's head lifted. "Sir, if this is about filing a complaint, we can provide the proper channels after landing." Jordan looked at him. "No. This is about why those channels fail." The cabin grew quiet again. Jordan unlocked his phone. The screen glowed against his palm. This time he did not hide it. A secure airline dashboard appeared. Not the passenger app. Not a frequent flyer account. Something deeper. Corporate access. Executive controls. Internal reports. Employee directories. Live operations. Michael frowned. Emily's lips parted. Brandon leaned forward before he could stop himself. Jordan tapped a profile page. His name appeared at the top. Jordan Ellis, Chief Executive Officer, Board Chair, Majority Owner, System-wide Executive Authority. For several seconds, no one understood what they were seeing because their minds refused to accept it. Then Grace understood first. Her posture changed. Nathan saw her reaction and looked again. His eyes moved from the screen to Jordan's face. "Mr. Ellis," he said, his voice lower now. Michael whispered, "No." Emily covered her mouth. Brandon stepped back, as if the aisle had tilted beneath him. Angela's face hardened, then cracked. Patricia stared at the screen. Her eyes moved over the words once, twice, a third time. "You're lying," she said. but there was no force left in it. Jordan looked at her. I wish this were the part that mattered most. No one spoke. He turned the phone slightly so the crew could see the employee reporting chain. Flight crew, regional operations, customer experience, executive office. All roads led to him. Michael's clipboard slipped from under his arm and hit the floor with a flat crack. The sound made several passengers flinch. Jordan put the phone down at his side. I fly anonymously several times a year, he said. I do it to see what our customers experience when no one knows leadership is watching. His eyes moved from Emily to Michael to Brandon to Angela. Today, I saw enough. Emily's eyes filled with tears. Mr. Ellis, I am so sorry. We had no idea. Jordan's voice stayed calm, but it carried through the entire cabin. That is exactly the problem. Patricia gripped the armrests of 1A, frozen in a seat that no longer felt like luxury. It felt like evidence. Jordan looked around at the passengers, at the phones, at Lily's shaking hands. Respect should not depend on knowing who someone is. Then he turned back to the crew. And dignity should never require a title. Michael Reynolds bent down to pick up his clipboard, but his hand shook so badly that the papers slid across the carpet. No one helped him. Not because people were cruel, because the room had changed. A few minutes earlier, Michael had owned the aisle. His uniform had been authority. His voice had been law. Now he looked like a man standing in the ruins of a decision he could not take back. Jordan watched him quietly. Mr. Reynolds, he said, please stand. Michael rose slowly. His face had gone gray. Mr. Ellis, I made a mistake. Jordan looked at him for a long second. You made a choice. The words landed harder than shouting could have. Emily wiped under one eye with the back of her hand. Sir, I should have checked the boarding pass. Yes, Jordan said. You should have. She swallowed. I saw what I expected to see. That sentence surprised even her. It came out small, honest, ugly, human. Jordan's expression softened by the smallest degree. That is where harm begins. Patricia shifted in seat 1A. The leather creaked beneath her. I said I was sorry, she whispered. Jordan turned toward her. No, Ms. Whitaker, you said you did not know who I was. Patricia froze. That is not the same thing. The cabin stayed silent. Lily held her phone lower now, no longer excited by the attention. Her face had changed. She looked scared by the power of what she had captured. Her grandmother's text appeared on the screen. Keep recording, baby, but stay safe. Officer Grace Kim stepped closer to Jordan. Mr. Ellis, how would you like us to proceed? Jordan took a breath. He looked down at his jeans, dark with spilled coffee. He looked at the newspaper on the floor. He looked at the seat that had become the center of a wound much older than this flight. Then he looked at the crew. We proceed carefully, he said, because accountability without truth becomes revenge, and I am not here for revenge. Angela's eyes flickered. For the first time, shame cut through her defensiveness. Jordan continued, but truth without consequences becomes permission. I will not allow that either. Michael closed his eyes. Brandon stared at the floor. Emily began to cry silently. Jordan unlocked his phone again and opened a contact labeled Customer Trust Office. The call connected after one ring. This is Dana Miles. Dana, this is Jordan Ellis. I'm on flight 447. We have a live discrimination incident involving first-class boarding, crew escalation, and passenger misconduct. I need immediate documentation preservation. Dana's voice changed instantly. Are you safe? Physically, yes. That word hung there. Physically. Everyone understood what it left out. Jordan looked at Michael. I want all crew radios, tablet logs, passenger manifest records, seat change activity, and security communication preserved. No deletion, no edits, no internal messaging off record. Yes, sir, Dana said. He looked at Emily. I also want relief crew dispatched to the gate. This crew is not operating this flight. Emily covered her mouth and nodded, as if she had expected worse and feared mercy at the same time. Michael stepped forward. Sir, please. I have worked here for nearly 20 years. Jordan's eyes did not move. Then you had nearly 20 years to learn that procedure begins with facts. Michael had no answer. Jordan turned slightly so his voice carried. Ladies and gentlemen, I apologize for the delay. What happened here should never happen to any passenger. Not because of who I am, because of who we all are. A murmur moved through the cabin. Not applause, not yet. Something heavier. Recognition. The man in 2C raised his hand slightly. Mr. Ellis, I should have spoken sooner. Jordan looked at him. Yes. The man lowered his eyes. Jordan's voice softened. But you spoke. That matters. Next time, speak sooner. Margaret Ellis, the retired teacher, pressed a tissue to her eyes. That is the lesson, she whispered. Jordan ended the call with Dana and opened another. Human Resources Emergency Line. Emily flinched at the words. Jordan saw it. He did not look away. This is not about destroying people, he said to the crew. It is about stopping a pattern before it destroys someone who has less protection than I do. The HR director answered. Jordan's voice became calm steel. I need immediate administrative removal for 4 crew members pending investigation. Names are Emily Parker, Michael Reynolds, Brandon Hayes, and Angela Morris. Preserve union procedures, follow employment law, but remove them from customer contact today. The professionalism of the language made it worse. There was no rage to argue against, only consequence. Brandon whispered, Sir, I barely said anything. Jordan turned to him. You joined a circle before you asked a question. Brandon's mouth closed. Jordan looked at Angela. You threatened handcuffs before you verified a seat. Angela's eyes shone. I was trying to control the situation. No, Jordan said. You were trying to control me. The truth sat between them. Clean, unforgiving. Then Jordan looked at Patricia, still frozen in his seat. And Ms. Whitaker, he said. Now we address what started this. Patricia Whitaker did not move from seat 1A. Her hands stayed locked around the armrests. Her diamond bracelet trembled against the leather. A few minutes earlier, that seat had made her feel powerful. Now it made her look trapped. Jordan stood in the aisle, phone in hand, coffee drying against his jeans. Ms. Whitaker, he said, please stand up. Patricia looked at him as if he had asked her to walk into traffic. I said I was sorry. Jordan's face stayed calm. I asked you to stand. Officer Nathan Brooks shifted slightly, not threatening, just present. Grace Kim watched Patricia with the steady patience of someone who knew shame could turn reckless if cornered too fast. Patricia slowly rose. The cabin watched her leave the seat she had stolen. No applause, no cheering. Only the quiet sound of fabric moving, of breath held too long, of people realizing that humiliation had changed direction. Jordan did not sit down, not yet. He looked at the empty seat, then at Patricia. You put your hands on me. Patricia's mouth opened. I was upset. I thought you yanked me out of a seat that was not yours. You spilled hot coffee on me. You used a racial insult. Then you allowed crew members to threaten me while you sat there enjoying it. Her face crumpled, but he did not soften the truth to make it easier for her to hear. That is not a misunderstanding. That is harm. Patricia looked around the cabin. No one rescued her. The same people who had once looked away now looked directly at her. That was the loneliness of accountability. She whispered, "I'm not that kind of person." Margaret Ellis, the retired teacher, spoke before she could stop herself. "Then why did you behave like one?" The sentence was gentle. "That made it worse." Patricia's eyes filled. Jordan turned his phone so only he could see it. He tapped once, then paused. "I have your name, your employer, your public profile, and video evidence from multiple passengers. I also have the right to request that law enforcement treat this as an assault and a civil rights matter." Patricia's knees seemed to weaken. "Please don't call my company." Jordan studied her. "That is the first thing you have asked me to protect. Not my dignity, not my safety, your reputation." Patricia covered her mouth. The truth had nowhere to hide. Emily, still near the galley, looked down and cried harder. She recognized the pattern in herself too. The fear of being exposed had arrived before the grief of what she had done. Jordan's voice grew quieter. "My mother used to say, a person's real character is not revealed by what they post, what they donate to, or what they say at dinner parties. It is revealed by how they treat someone they think has no power over them." Patricia broke then. Not loudly, not dramatically. Her shoulders folded inward. "I was wrong," she said. "I was cruel. I saw what I wanted to see." Jordan nodded once. "That is a beginning. It is not the end." He looked toward Officer Grace Kim. "Officer Kim, please document Ms. Whitaker's statement and the physical contact. I am not requesting arrest at this moment, but I want the record preserved." Grace nodded. "Yes, sir." Patricia looked up quickly. "At this moment?" Jordan's eyes returned to her. "Yes, because what happens next depends on whether you choose accountability or denial." The cabin leaned into the silence. Jordan continued, "You will provide a recorded apology before leaving this aircraft. Not a statement about confusion, not a statement about stress. You will name what you did." Patricia nodded through tears. "You will also cooperate with the airline's investigation, provide a written statement, pay for the damaged clothing and personal items, and complete a restorative justice process with a civil rights education organization approved by our legal team." Her face tightened at the words, but she did not argue. Jordan took one step closer. "And you will stop using loyalty status as a license to mistreat people." That line struck deeper than punishment, because everyone in first class understood it. Status had become a shield, a club, a costume for entitlement. Patricia wiped her face. "I'll do it." Jordan held her gaze. "Say it clearly." She turned toward the phones, toward Lily's trembling live stream, toward the passengers she had expected to impress. "My name is Patricia Whitaker," she said, voice breaking. "I took a seat that was not mine. I put my hands on Mr. Ellis. I used racist language. I judged him by his appearance. I was wrong." The cabin stayed silent. Then Jordan finally moved toward seat 1A. He did not sit like a conqueror. He sat like a tired man reclaiming something that should never have been taken. And somehow, that was more powerful. The replacement crew arrived 12 minutes later. They came quietly, without the nervous theater of people walking into a scandal. A new purser, a gray-haired woman named Denise Walker, stepped into the cabin first. She paused near the entrance, took in the phones, the officers, the crying crew members, and Jordan sitting in 1A with coffee stains on his jeans. Her face did not pretend nothing had happened. That mattered. "Mr. Ellis," she said softly, "my name is Denise Walker. I'll be taking over service for this flight, if you still choose to travel with us today." Jordan looked up. The question was respectful. Not automatic. Not polished. Respectful. "I do," he said. Denise nodded. "Then we will do our best to earn back a small piece of trust during this flight." Emily heard that from the galley and closed her eyes. The sentence hurt because it was everything she should have said first. Michael Reynolds stood near Officer Brooks, waiting for instructions. His jacket no longer looked like authority. It looked heavy. Brandon stayed behind him, pale and silent. Angela wiped her eyes once, angry at herself for needing to. Human Resources had already called each of them. Administrative removal. Paid status pending investigation for Emily and Brandon. Immediate suspension for Angela. Michael placed on emergency leave pending leadership review. No one was fired in the aisle. No one was humiliated for sport. That restraint made the consequences feel more serious, not less. Jordan had insisted on process. "Follow the law," he had said into the phone. "Do not copy the harm we are correcting." That line stayed with Grace Kim. She had seen powerful people punish quickly to make themselves feel clean. Jordan was doing something harder. He was building a record strong enough to outlast anger. Patricia Whitaker stood near the front, waiting to be reseated. Her designer jacket was wrinkled now. Her face was bare of the confidence she had worn like makeup. Denise approached her. "Ms. Whitaker, your assigned seat for this flight is 23C. We will escort you there after the officers complete documentation." Patricia swallowed. "Economy." Denise held her gaze. "Your assigned seat." It was not cruel. It was precise, and precision can be its own kind of justice. A few passengers shifted as Patricia walked down the aisle. Nobody mocked her. Nobody applauded. The silence followed her all the way back. She seemed smaller with each step. Lily lowered her phone for a moment and wiped her eyes with her sleeve. Her live stream had grown beyond anything she understood. Thousands had watched the seat dispute become something larger. But in that moment, Lily did not feel like a reporter. She felt like a girl who had seen adults fail, and one man refused to become cruel in return. Jordan noticed her. "Young lady," he said gently. Lily froze. "Yes, sir. Thank you for recording. But remember this. A camera can show what happened. It cannot heal what happened. People have to do that part." Lily nodded slowly. "I'll remember." The businessman in 2C turned toward Jordan. "My name is Charles Bennett. I should have stood up sooner." Jordan looked at him with tired eyes. "Yes." Charles flinched. Then Jordan added, "But you stood up before it was safe to do so. That still counts. Just do not wait so long next time." Charles nodded, accepting the correction like medicine. Denise moved through the cabin with quiet efficiency. She checked on older passengers. She asked if anyone needed water. She thanked the officers by name. Every action was small. Every action said the same thing. People first, procedure second, not the other way around. Jordan opened his laptop. The screen lit his face in a cool glow. His inbox had exploded. Legal, communications, board members, a message from his assistant, a message from his mother. He paused on that one. "Are you all right, baby?" For the first time all afternoon, his composure Jordan did not wait until cruising altitude. As the aircraft climbed over the clouds, he opened a blank company memo and began typing with steady fingers. The cabin lights were low now. The windows glowed blue. The engines hummed with that deep, constant sound that makes people speak softer without knowing why. Denise Walker passed quietly with water. Jordan thanked her by name. She paused. It was a small thing, but her eyes showed she understood. Names mattered. Seeing people mattered. That was where dignity began. Across the aisle, Charles Bennett watched Jordan type. "Mr. Ellis," he said carefully, "may I ask what happens now?" Jordan did not look away from the screen at first. "Now we stop treating this like an isolated embarrassment." Charles nodded slowly. "And treat it like what?" Jordan looked up. A warning. The word settled into the cabin. Lily Carter had stopped live streaming, but her phone was still buzzing in her lap. News alerts, messages from friends, a voicemail from her grandmother. Her hands were still shaking. She was beginning to understand that recording the truth also meant carrying it. Jordan turned his laptop slightly, not enough to reveal confidential details, but enough for nearby passengers to see the subject line. Immediate customer dignity review. He began outlining actions. Mandatory documentation before escalation. Passenger rights language added to crew training. Bias response team available 24 hours a day. Independent review for all removals involving disputed seating. Annual civil rights education for customer-facing staff. A confidential reporting system for employees afraid to challenge supervisors. He typed each line slowly, not as a performance, as a promise. Denise came back through the aisle and saw the screen. Her lips pressed together, and for a moment, she looked older than she had at boarding. "Mr. Ellis," she said, "may I say something?" Jordan nodded. "Please." She lowered her voice, but those nearby still heard. Most of our people are not cruel, but some are tired. Some are scared of passengers with status. Some follow the loudest person because it feels safer than slowing down. Jordan listened. Denise continued. "That does not excuse what happened. But if you want real change, make it safe for crew members to pause. Make it safe to say, 'Let me verify.' Make it safe to disagree with a supervisor." Jordan studied her face. There was no defensiveness there, only experience. "That belongs in the memo," he said. Denise gave one small nod. "Then maybe something good can come from this." Behind them, Margaret Ellis leaned toward Lily. "You did the right thing, honey." Lily looked down. "I was scared." Margaret smiled sadly. "Courage usually is." The plane leveled slightly, and the seatbelt sign remained on. Jordan's phone vibrated again. This time it was Dana Miles from the Customer Trust Office. He answered. Dana's voice was tight. "The video is spreading fast. Communications wants to know if we deny, delay, or investigate." Jordan looked out the window at the bright line of sun above the clouds. None of those. Dana went quiet. Jordan said, "We acknowledge. We apologize. We preserve evidence. We announce an independent review before the end of the day. That is aggressive." "No," Jordan said. "It is honest." Dana exhaled. "The board will be nervous. They should be. Not because of the video, because the video showed the truth." A long pause followed. Then Dana said, "Understood." Jordan ended the call. In row 23, Patricia Whitaker sat in the middle seat between two strangers. Her face was turned toward the window, though she could barely see past the man beside her. She heard nothing from first class now. No luxury service, no special treatment. Just the ordinary closeness of people sharing space. For the first time in years, no one moved aside for her, and it was teaching her something she should have learned long ago. Back in 1A, Jordan added one final line to the memo. "Respect is not a premium service. It is the minimum standard. He stared at that sentence. Then he sent it. Within seconds, it began moving through the company. Phones would buzz in offices. Executives would stop mid-meeting. Managers would read it twice. Some would feel inspired. Some would feel exposed. Both reactions were useful. Jordan closed the laptop and leaned back. The cabin was quiet now, but not calm. It was the quiet before consequences reached the ground. Lily looked toward him. "Mr. Ellis?" He turned. "What do you want people to remember?" Jordan thought for a moment. Not about power, not about revenge, not even about the seat. That the smallest decision can protect someone, he said. Read the ticket. Ask the question. Speak up sooner. Treat the person in front of you like they matter before the world forces you to. Lily nodded, recording the words only in memory this time. Outside the window, the clouds stretched wide and white beneath the plane. Inside, one man's humiliation had become a mirror, and no one who looked into it could pretend they had seen nothing. By the time Flight 447 landed, the video had already reached more people than Jordan could count. The wheels touched the runway with a hard, low rumble. A few passengers gripped their armrests. Others stared at their phones, watching the same cabin they were sitting in appear on news feeds across the country. Jordan remained in seat 1A, not because the seat mattered, because the truth did. When the aircraft reached the gate, no one rushed to stand. The usual scramble for bags did not happen. The cabin stayed still, as if everyone understood that something larger than travel had ended, and something larger than apology had begun. Denise Walker stood at the front. "Ladies and gentlemen," she said, her voice steady, "thank you for your patience today. Please allow Mr. Ellis and the officers to exit first." No one complained. Patricia Whitaker sat in row 23, hands folded in her lap. Her face was pale. When Jordan passed her, she looked up. "I will do what I promised," she said. Jordan stopped. "I hope you do." That was all. No speech. No forgiveness offered too quickly. No cruelty added to the wound. Outside the aircraft door, airport officials waited with legal staff, customer trust representatives, and a senior operations manager who looked as if he had aged 10 years in one afternoon. Jordan stepped onto the jet bridge. Cameras waited beyond the glass. He could hear reporters calling his name. He did not answer them yet. First, he turned back toward Lily Carter, who stood with her backpack pressed to her chest. "You told the truth," he said. Lily swallowed. "I was scared the whole time." Jordan nodded. "That is usually when truth matters most." Her eyes filled, and she smiled through it. Later that evening, the airline released the full statement Jordan had demanded. No denial, no vague language, no hiding behind process. The company confirmed a disputed seating incident, acknowledged discriminatory conduct, announced an independent civil rights review, and placed the involved employees on administrative leave pending investigation. The statement ended with Jordan's line, "Respect is not a premium service. It is the minimum standard." Within weeks, training changed. Not slogans, not posters, real procedures. Crew members were required to verify documents before escalation. Supervisors were trained to pause under pressure. Passengers could report bias through a protected system. Employees could challenge unfair decisions without fear of retaliation. Emily Parker entered a restorative training program and later spoke to new hires about the danger of assuming. Brandon Hayes returned only after retraining and probation. Angela Morris left customer service and moved into a back-office role. Michael Reynolds resigned before the review ended. Patricia completed her apology, paid for the damage, and began the civil rights education Jordan had required. Whether she changed completely, only time could prove. But for the first time, she had to sit with the harm she caused without status, protecting her from it. 6 months later, Jordan boarded another flight alone. Same airline, same quiet hoodie, different crew. A young flight attendant greeted an elderly man in work boots, with the same warmth she gave a woman in pearls. She checked boarding passes carefully. She used names. She smiled without measuring worth. Jordan watched from seat 1A. This time, no one questioned him. But more importantly, no one questioned the man behind him either. Jordan looked out the window as the plane lifted into the evening sky. The city lights fell away beneath him, small and bright, like proof that even large systems are made of individual choices. One person can humiliate. One person can record. One person can speak. One person can change the rule. And sometimes, justice is not a loud victory. Sometimes, it is a quiet cabin where everyone is treated like they belong. If this story moved you, share it with someone who believes respect should never depend on appearance, money, or status. And if you have ever witnessed unfair treatment, do not look away too quickly. Your voice may be the first step toward someone getting their dignity back.